But you knew what was wrong. So why didn't you
I had
say,
no idea. I had no idea. I had no
come
idea.
on, you didn't know it was that dude?
I had no idea. How was I supposed to know? Because to me, he's just a friend. There is no there it was purely platonic. Like it was purely friendship. Like there was no sexual attraction, nothing.
Maybe that dude. You don't think that dude, your golf buddy, wanted to?
He has a girlfriend. He had a girlfriend.
I don't give a.
Licensed attorney, award-winning writer, businessman, entrepreneur, and other over-the-top crap. It's Life and Law with Eugene Sisco Jr.
Welcome back to another episode of the Real Life and Law podcast, where life and law collide. My name is Katie. I'm the one always asking the questions. And of course, I am with Eugene, what did I call you last time? The expert, and you kind of got a little angry.
No, I'm not an expert.
The one that's answering all the questions. I'll just say that.
Right. I have a lot of experience, so I've done a lot of
do.
shit in my life. So,
And you have a lot of experience in a wide variety of careers.
yeah.
I feel like someone could write a biography about you.
Yeah, maybe so. I'm not sure. Well, I think it would be interesting. I've done a lot of things.
Honestly, you've lived a very interesting, fulfilling life. And that's kind of what we're going to get into today.
Not bad for an old hillbilly.
No, exactly. You know what? I talk about you all the time with my friends and my family because I'm like, this guy has gone through so much, and you just you persevere, and you're honestly an inspiration, Eugene.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. I don't feel like it sometimes, like today.
Oh, today we had a little shit show trying to get ready for this podcast episode, didn't we?
It was all me. No, when you say we, it was me.
Hey, but I was trying to help you out. And you know what? Guess who figured everything out? It was you. So pat yourself on the back for that one. Little technical difficulties getting started, but here we are.
We're here.
So we're just going to shoot the shit today. We're going to have a little heart-to-heart in the honor of maybe getting to know each other a little bit more, as well as having our viewers and our listeners get to know us a little bit more.
Yeah, that's important. You know, we do all this stuff on our social media, and there's a load of fakers out there. There's a load of people that doesn't know, as we've used this word probably 6 times already, but there's a whole load of people that don't know shit from apple butter.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. And when you see a lot of their content, after a while, you kind of realize they really don't know what they're doing, particularly although it's only if you know a little bit about the thing they're talking about that sometimes you'll realize that they really don't know what they're talking about. You know, I get it. You certainly probably get it in the stuff you create. You know, I get comments on, will contradict my opinion of the law, and that's okay. Whenever I talk about the law or whenever I talk about an employer, you know, someone's always quick to tell me how what I say doesn't work, or if it works, then bad things are going to happen. And, you know, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But I really do know, I have a lot of experience. I would not ever talk about something that I didn't have experience in, although there's a lot of people on social media that do. I wouldn't do that. I'd be embarrassed when I got called out. I mean, you get embarrassed anyway when people do it, right?
I wouldn't have the balls to do it because you're bound to get called out.
Well, you see, one of the things I like to watch is there's a show called American Greed. And I don't know if they're even filming anymore, but it's a show that highlights these people who have been caught up in these scams, these elaborate and sometimes basic scams. So they run the gambit. And it chronicles how these people made millions, literally tens of millions. And a lot of the scams came from people having a gimmick, and they get people to invest. They get people to believe that they know what they're doing. One of the most famous ones was this lady. There was a lady, and not too long ago, I think she got convicted and sent away for a long time, but she fashioned herself as a female Steve Jobs, and she claimed that she had had some kind of cure for cancer. It was a genetic based company. And she had borrowed a ton of money, got a lot of people to invest, a lot of high-powered, important people, had raised hundreds of millions of dollars on a hoax. And if you watch this show, you'll see a ton of them. And you just wonder how people have the guts. So I always watch this thing thinking, man, how do you get the guts to create something totally that's false, that you know is false, and you sell it?
What happened to her?
She actually, as soon as she got caught, she went and got herself pregnant thinking that would help her, like curry some sympathy. And it did. They sentenced her to jail. I don't know how much, and I can't even remember what her name is, but she was a very attractive lady. But she mimicked, in fact, they called her the female Steve Jobs. And it was really weird, but I'm always like, I suffer a little bit from this, what you call imposter syndrome, because you're always thinking whatever you do, you're not real sure about. And I think everybody does that. There are not many people will admit to it. And so these people on this American Greed don't suffer that. No, man,
But they're delusional. Like, how crazy do you have to be to say that you have the cure to cancer and then not have it?
But maybe, well, that's just one example. There's some really basic stuff like these pyramid schemes and these sales gimmicks. And there was even this one on drugs where these kids early on in the opiate epidemic, these young kids in college had made their own pills, but they were, I can't remember. They were going to Mexico or somewhere getting these pills. Pressing their own pills, getting the ingredients, pressing their own pills. And this was really early on in the opiate addiction, the opiate thing, back in the early thousands, I think, maybe. I can't remember, but they were just college kids, 5 or 6 of them. So I'm not giving much information. Someone will call me out and that'll be fine. But the whole thing the point is these kids just kept doing their thing and at one point they were making like $1 million a week.
What?
A ton of money. So I'm watching the show thinking, why don't they just quit? When you get $60-70 million,
you're good.
Just quit.
Yeah.
But all of these people,
you want to keep going.
They just never think they're going to get caught. It's the damnedest thing that you watch people do. And delusion is part of it, I guess. Or, I'm sure there's other psychiatric terms to it.
Yeah, I would love to just dissect this person's mind and how they think.
Well, these college kids in particular, had gotten all that money and then got nuts. A couple of them got in trouble with the law. So then you start seeing, then when that happens, other things start happening, and then people in their corners start telling, and it just turns in. And the time frame from start to finish is like 18 months sometimes for these people. Wow. I mean, it's a really short ride. I mean, they skyrocket, they get all this money, and then in a moment, it's gone. And you just wonder, the very first time I did something on any large scale that I thought was going to make some money was a study skills video. It was called Building Academic Success. And so I had created this video on a bunch of principles, basic fundamental teaching principles, parenting principles, things that I knew worked. So I had, over the course of a couple of years, I had developed this program. And then this is back in early to mid 90s. And I thought, well, what a neat idea for a video, because it's, VHS and video back then was a real good idea. So I had developed this program and then paid someone to follow me around at some of the workshops that I gave. But I didn't test market it. I didn't do any of that. I created it all in my little bubble. So the point is, the first time I went to a show, and set up and had my video running on a loop. By that time, I had sold a bunch of them, maybe about 60 or 70 units. I did direct mail. That was old days where you did direct mail. So I went to this large regional conference, and there was probably several thousands, 10, 12,000 attendees. And some of those attendees had purchased my program. I knew that already. So I set up if you've ever been to a large conference, you generally will have, in the hotels, they'll have these big areas where vendors will come in and set up and sell things, calendars, knickknacks, whatever. You're selling to that market. So I had things set up, and this lady approached me. I'm at the table, and she said, "Oh my God." She said, "I love your program. I purchased it about 6 months ago." And she said, "We just love it."
Oh my gosh.
I was so shocked. And I said the stupidest thing. So I looked at her and I said, "I'll be damned, it works." Yeah, it works. That's all I could say.
Maybe she thought you were maybe she thought you were joking.
Maybe, but as soon as it came out of my mouth, I thought, "Man, what
You're like,
an
shit."
idiot." Yeah. I mean, this lady has given me a really good compliment, and I'm this goober who just says, "I'll be damned, it works." But that's the way I felt, so you get that. It's that imposter syndrome, like, oh God, I don't know how this is, but that's the way I do most of my stuff. I do it, I put it out there, and
see if it works. Yeah.
And I never know. I don't do fancy market research or any of that.
So I have a couple questions for you. Completely different topic. I want to know how you met your wife.
We went to college together. We met. We're from the same general neck of the woods, as we say around here. She's from Pike County, which is one of the largest counties in land mass in the state of Kentucky. I lived in a little town called Martin County, one of the most impoverished counties in the country. Martin County is where Lyndon Johnson, our president, right after John Kennedy, in the 60s, he began his war on poverty. He came actually to my hometown of Inez, Kentucky, and kicked off his war on poverty. So that's where I'm from, very poor. So we were totally different. Her father was retired or getting ready to retire. Maybe he had already retired. And by that time, he was drawing Social Security. And back in the day, and they were very frugal, so they saved a lot of their money. And she had a new car and had plenty of money. And so we met and started dating. And, Lord, that was in 1980. If she's watching, she'll never watch this. So
we've already discussed this. She'll never listen.
I'm thinking I went to college in 79. She's 2 years younger than me. So I think I met her in 80 or 81. Yeah.
And what was she taking?
She was a business degree person. She is very competent, very smart. Types. She could probably type 130 words a minute. I mean, she's very proficient on a keyboard, and she's really good at editing. And she was made, A's and B's. She was in honor society. That is not me.
What do you mean?
I was in the honorary society. So that's what I was in, just the plumb damn honorary. And I drank beer and I played basketball. I played basketball until I didn't make the team. And then I discovered beer and women. And so that was weed. I smoked a lot of weed back in the day.
I think that was a popular choice back then.
Yeah. So I did that until 1983. 84. I graduated in 84. Should have graduated in 83, but it took me 5 years. And I'd probably still be in college. Some of the most fun days of my life was college. Man, I loved it. Loved it.
I think everyone loved college.
Oh, my God.
I didn't actually get a chance to party much though. Like so I'm a big sports person and I got asked to play for the soccer team, but I don't know how people are able to play sports and go to school. At least like with the workload that I had, I couldn't fit it in. The reason I was in school wasn't because of sports. So I was like, I need to focus on my schooling, but like I don't know
I'll tell you,
how they do that.
as an employer, you give me someone that went to school and participated in sports and managed to hold a B or C average, I will hire them any day over someone that did nothing except study. Any day.
Yeah.
Without any more knowledge other than that. If I know they made A's and B's and I know they participated in some kind of athletic event, a sporting team, and was a member of the team, I'll take them any day, because that person understands what work and balance is like. At least, it's just, I think it's just incredible that people do that. The student athlete.
Also time management too. Like you have to be really good at time management.
Yeah, because if you're not proficient at both of those things, then you're not going to be really in either one of them a lot of times. You have to learn to compartmentalize. You have to learn all the skills. You learn teamwork. I just love student athletes, man. I always have, but unfortunately, I never got to experience that. I was cut on the basketball team. Like I was one of the last cuts. So I was proud that I made it that far, but
yeah, devastating.
I didn't have any skills. I had skills. I didn't have any refinement because I was a really good basketball. I could play basketball. It's really good, but it was very raw. I had never played organized sports before. Didn't have the money when I was growing up. We, we're very poor. I didn't shit in the indoor bathroom until I was about 17. So I didn't have any way of getting anywhere. Couldn't stay after school and practice. I just played a lot of ball on outdoor dirt courts and developed a really good skill set. Mm-hmm. But I didn't understand how to play as a team. I didn't understand offense. I didn't understand any of those concepts. And so when I played on that level, the only thing that kept me around was just my talents. And then when it came to the knowledge of the game and how to think, I couldn't do it. It was just too much for me to try to learn.
I think over time you'd be able to develop the skills that you would need, but that takes time. I've played soccer my entire life, and I honestly think I'm a better player as an adult than I was when I was a kid, playing like 5 times a week, going to tournaments every weekend. Like I have a better knowledge of the game and how it should be played because I've been doing it for so long. Where when I was a kid, my coach would be like yelling at me to do stuff, but I would just like do whatever I wanted to do. And now I understand what they were yelling. I was like, should have paid attention.
And you play smarter, not harder. Mm-hmm. As a runner, I started running at the age of 13. Well, back then, if you're good, naturally good, you're going to win just because you've got talent. Now, I'm a better runner. My time isn't better, but shit, I'm older. But I'm a better runner. I understand it more. I understand the psychology of it more. I understand my body more. And I understand the mechanics of running. So I'm a better runner now than I was when I first started, which when I first started was just raw ability and guts and determination. Now I understand it. I know, things like stride and length and how to fall over your feet. And it's just the mechanics, how to run. So I'm a better runner now. My time sucks because of my health issues, but I'm still grinding it out at 15 or 20 miles a week,
Yeah. I mean, I see it I play on a few co-ed teams and we're an older team. We have, I would say like the average age is like mid 30s, but we have a guy in his 40s, a couple people in their late 20s, but we play all these other teams. They're all early 20s, like they're all kids.
Yeah.
And they're fast. Yes, they have skill. They're very athletic, but we beat them almost every single time because we understand the game more.
Yep.
And because we've been doing it for longer. And then I see it in these men's leagues as well. They have, like they have these 50+ men's leagues, and those guys, yeah, they're older, they're probably a bit fatter, they're not as athletic as they used to be, but the way that they move the ball as a team, they'll outplay a lot of guys in their like late 30s, let's say.
And they all know where everyone should be.
They don't have to, they don't have to look. They just know.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been playing with the same team, you have that chemistry with the players. You know exactly how each individual player plays the game. And yeah, you're right. You know exactly where they should be and where they usually are on the field before you even look. And that's going to benefit you because you'll receive the ball and then you don't need to like look up and take a couple touches before you distribute it somewhere else. You just know, bam, 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 bam. You can make those passes really quickly.
But I love, asking how I met my wife, but that's how, we just dated for a little bit. And then when I quit basketball, I didn't meet her until I was in school for a year or so. And then I think we met at a party. And then we started dating, and then I think we... It
was like right away? Was it like instant attraction? You're like, I'm making this woman my wife? Or was it like, this will be fun, we'll see where it goes?
Yeah, it was, I think I never did believe, I still don't believe in love at first sight. I just don't. I know that when I say that, a lot of people get on to me about that, and I don't believe there's just one person in your whole life. I believe there's a gazillion people out there for you. And I think when you find someone, then you either try to make it work or you don't. And I think it's not the end of the world if it don't work for that person, because I believe there's others.
I agree. And we kind of spoke about that in our divorce episode.
Yeah, I never got hung up on that. And but we match each other intellectually. We can sit down and we talk. We've always been able to talk.
That's important.
And communicate. And then we got married in 1985 and started having babies, man.
Now you have 4 kids, right?
4 kids and 9 grandbabies.
Jeez.
Yeah, a load of them.
Is that normal over there? Everyone wants to have like a boatload of kids?
No. In fact, it's
just your family?
The birth rate in our country has been on a decline for a long time. And there's a lot of people not wanting to do that. Because when you start doing that, then your culture dies. If you don't keep up with the birth rate, then eventually you have nobody. It's not good. I mean, there's some countries in Europe that are suffering that problem. Their birth rate doesn't match the number of immigrants and other people coming in, so they eventually lose their culture. France, I think, is having a bigger problem with that. I mean, a lot of countries in Europe are having, I think particularly France, are losing their cultural identity because their birth rate has slowed. And a number of other people coming into the country that aren't wedded or that aren't steeped into that culture. And I think there's some of the old guard people that aren't liking it. And we're having the same trouble here in this country.
So you're in Kentucky right now, right?
Yep. The bluegrass.
But you also have is it a summer home in Florida?
It's a, not really summer. We go there whenever we want because, Florida's like hot and nice. And so we go there. We purchased a couple years ago. It's a really nice condominium. It's right on the beach, north of Daytona. And we go there about every 2 or 3 months. Like we just came back about a month ago. And we'll probably go back January and stay for 3 or 4 more months, although we're getting ready to sell our condo and buy a house. We realize condominium life isn't for me. Too many damn rules.
So where's your favorite destination that you've traveled to?
You know, of all the places I've been as a tourist, for different reasons, I love Philadelphia. It's one of my favorite places ever, just because of the history.
Like in the entire world, you're going to pick Philadelphia.
Yeah, I love it.
What?
Now, as just for the reasons of, I love the history, the significance. It's like when I go down there, and I've been there several times, I just imagine I can like put myself back in the mid 1700s. That's my favorite time period in history.
Okay.
The mid to late 1700s. Although people lived short lifespans, aside from that, I just love that time period. And I can just imagine that, because, those streets are all the same. A lot of the, you're walking on the same cobblestone as Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, some of our founding fathers in this country. And it's just the coolest damn thing when you go in them buildings and you sit down in Independence Hall, you're sitting down on the same damn seat. I tell my kids was little, I would say, hey, our ass is sitting on the same bench as Thomas Jefferson.
It is really cool. And I understand that. Like, that's why I loved Boston. But I'm not going to say like the favorite place in the entire world that I've traveled to is Boston. I can't believe you picked Philly, but I understand why you're picking it.
But I'm not a world traveler though. So in all the places in the United States now, for different reason, it's Hawaii. I've been there once. Would love, and I think we were scheduled. We have a timeshare place we're going to go. I think we have to take it before next year is up. So me and my wife are going to go. It's the most beautiful place ever.
Have you ever been to Europe?
Never been.
Okay. That's why. That's why you said Philly.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. Have you been?
No, and that's where I want to go. Like because my next question was, if you could pick any place in the world that you haven't traveled to, where would you go? And that's for me, it's Europe for sure. And I would start, people are going to rip on me for this, but I would start in the UK because that's where my family's from.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think I would eventually get over to Italy, France, Portugal, Spain, Croatia. There's so many places over there.
I would go to Africa.
Oh, so my friend's been to Africa. He went on a safari and he said it was unreal.
Oh my God. See, I'm an Ernest Hemingway fan, and he went on safaris all the time. I would love to go. And this is weird. I told my wife, I said, I would like to go and just live like they live. See, that wouldn't bother me not to take a shower for days, maybe even weeks. That wouldn't bother me.
Ooh, I couldn't do weeks.
I would just love just to go and just absorb that
culture.
Yeah. And I'd probably like to go to Western Africa because I think you've got a different kind of climate there. But the safari, but now at my age and with my, kidney health issues and stuff, I probably will not ever. And Australia is the second place for me to go for that same reason.
So that's funny. The guy that I was talking about that's been on the safari and he actually climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, he lives in Australia. So he's living the life you want to live. He lives right on Bondi Beach in Australia.
I would love to go to Australia. They speak our language and they're culturally about like we are.
See, that's why teleportation would be the best superpower ever.
I've got some buddies that have been to Yellowstone and they've camped there. And I'm like, well, what is there to see? It's ground. Once you see what's the geyser? Old Faithful, I think, is the geyser. And once you've seen that, it's just camping.
Well, I think I've never been, but from what I've seen in pictures and on TV, like the landscapes look beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, I don't know.
Maybe that's just not your thing.
No. And I have seen Niagara Falls.
Yeah, I've seen it a million times.
It's one of the most awesome things I have seen.
See, we take it for granted. I live like 45 minutes away from it.
No kidding.
Yeah, so like so Niagara Falls is like where we used to party when we were younger. It's like Niagara Falls on the Canadian side. It's like it's such a tourist trap, and it's honestly Niagara, Canada is such a shit hole. It's not a nice city. So but we would go there and like party, but it's like been there, done that. We've done it a million times, and now I hate going there.
That's one of those places I would love to go back to. Because when I went there, the awesome power of those falls was just, to me, breathtaking. You know, I took the ship and went behind it and everything and put the raincoat on and I got wet. And it was just awesome. Now, and I was younger, so I've told my wife, I said, that's one of the places I would like to go back to just to see if it's like, you know, if it's the same or if I'm just imagining all that. Because, again, when I went there, I just put my mind back, like, can you imagine coming upon something like that for the first time when you were maybe a Native American?
Or like, what if you're like, you're canoeing down the river and then you're like, up ahead.
You're hearing and you're like, oh my God, we're going pretty fast. And then you look. I cannot imagine seeing something like that for the first time if you had never heard about it, didn't know anything about it, and you just happen upon it.
Can you believe that I've been there a million times? As I said, I live really close. I've never been on the Maid in the Mist, which is like the boat that goes like right by the falls. And I've never been behind the falls either. Like I've never, or even like the boat ride up the river to like where the whirlpool is. I haven't done any of that.
Like when you went there, did you go with a significant other?
Yeah, like I've done that before. I've gone with friends. I've gone with ex-boyfriends.
Huh. But you don't have a current boyfriend now?
I don't. Katie's single.
That's your own damn fault. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, we got into this conversation and the divorce. Was it the divorce episode? Yeah, it was the divorce episode. It's because my standards are too high.
But yeah, well, they probably are. But so I didn't get a chance to ask Vice. Now, when was the last time you was in a relationship?
So I broke up with my boyfriend of just over 10 years on January 1st, 2020. Fresh start.
10 years?
Oh yeah, we were gonna get married.
Holy God.
Like, I mean, like the ring wasn't on my finger, but like he had me sized and we had gone and looked at rings, and then thank God we broke up.
It was your decision?
It was mutual for sure, but I was the one that initiated the conversation to should we stay together or not.
How come? Just wasn't going anywhere?
It wasn't going anywhere. It was the same vicious circle over and over again. You know, we both weren't happy. We'd discuss why we weren't happy. We'd both say we'd work on certain things. We'd work on them for a few months, and then everything would go back to the way that they used to be.
What was the big thing? The big thing?
For me, it was he just like his communication skills sucked. I was like, I would know when something was wrong, and it would be like pulling teeth trying to like get it out of him. And a lot of the times I would know if it had something to do with me or not. And if it had something to do with me, I'm like, I can't fix it until you tell me what's wrong so I can try and fix it. And then so communication sucked.
Would you think it would be about you?
Because I could tell he was mad at me.
No, I mean, what kind of thing do you think you do to make him mad?
Well, I can give you an exact example because this pissed me off. So I used to work in the restaurant industry, and I was working at this one restaurant at the time, and I had a friend who I worked with, and he was male, and I was not interested at all. He had a girlfriend. Like, we literally were just mates, and I'm a golfer, and he wanted to learn how to golf, so I started taking him golfing. And the thing about like, okay, relax. The thing about working in a restaurant is like your hours are very different than like a typical 9 to 5, right? So we would often work night shifts, so we would go golfing during the day when my boyfriend was working the regular 9 to 5 shift. So he was pissed off that, okay, well, I didn't know this at the time, but we would go golfing a lot because there was nothing to do during the day. We're like, okay, let's go golfing. I was teaching him how to golf. And then it was like a Saturday. I remember we were watching football, And he just like wasn't talking to me. He was giving me like one word answers. I'd be like, okay, what are we doing tonight? And he'd be like, I don't know.
He was sulking like a little kid.
He was sulking. And I was like, something's wrong. I know you're mad. What's wrong? Nothing. I'm not mad. It was like, when a boyfriend asks a girlfriend what's wrong, nothing. And the girl will never admit that anything's wrong. It was like that. It's like the roles were reversed.
That is the worst.
And I'm like, just tell me what's wrong. And like, I'm telling you, hours were going by because that's what we would do. We would watch college football all Saturday, and then we would watch NFL Sunday because he's a big football guy. Clemson was his team. It probably still is, obviously. But
oh man, so you were stuck in a huge rut.
And I was like, just tell me what's. I'm like, fuck. It's like pulling teeth. Like, just tell me. And then finally, he said, "Fine."
You knew what was wrong, so why didn't you?
I had no idea. I had no idea.
You didn't know it was that dude?
I had no idea. How was I supposed to know? Because to me, he's just a friend. There is no. It was purely platonic. Like, it was purely friendship. Like, there was no sexual attraction. Nothing.
Maybe that dude. You don't think that dude, your golf buddy, wanted to?
He has a girlfriend. He had a girlfriend.
I don't give it.
So, but why should I think that? So you're trying to tell me that like every single male friend I have is like he's got like an ulterior motive?
I think a lot of them do.
I've heard this so many times, and I'll tell you right now, 90% of my friends are guys. I don't get along with females I don't have a lot of female friends.
Yeah.
And that pissed him off a lot. And I understand that. I get that. Because if he had a bunch of female friends, I would get jealous too.
Yeah, you're aggravated.
To finish the story, I had no idea it was about him. Because it's not like we went golfing that day, right? Like, I don't know, maybe we went golfing like the week before. So it wasn't like fresh in my mind that maybe that could be the possibility that that's what he was mad at. But he finally told me, he's like, I don't like how frequently you go golfing with so-and-so. And I was like, and I said, okay, I'll stop. How easy was that? All you had to do was fucking say something. Like, it's just, so the communication, or the lack of communication really, really bothered me in that relationship. And he never wanted to do anything with like my friend group. We always went and hung out with his friend group. He never wanted to be involved with my friend group. So that bothered me as well. But then there was other things too. It was like, when like everything just starts like accumulating and it's like a snowball effect. You're mad about this thing and then something else happens and you're mad about that. And then.
Yeah. But usually when you're together a long time, you have your all's friends. See, that's what me and my wife, we've been together so long. We don't have her friends and my friends. But
that's the thing, is that my friends were like, his friend group became my friends, right? And it's kind of funny because I won them all over in the breakup. They're all still friends with me.
So they picked
me.
Picked Team Katie.
Maybe not all of them, but a lot of like the couple friends picked me. But here's the thing. They were my friends. The reason why I had a separate friend group is because he never he never tried to be friends with them.
Yeah. And you got to make an effort.
You do have to make an effort. You're telling me if you want to put a ring on my finger, theoretically, that means you want to spend the rest of your life with me, if not a long period of time. So like, you're going to have to get used to my friends.
Man. So do you not miss him at all?
No. It was the best decision. No.
Zero?
When we first broke up, like the first like month, I was devastated. I think he was really upset too. We actually tried, this is stupid, we tried to be friends. And, but it was, listen, the way that I was describing it to my friends, because they didn't understand why we were doing this, I'm like, I've literally, because we lived together too. Like, I'm like, I have spent almost every single day of the last 10 years of my life with this guy. And then just to cut him off like cold turkey, it just felt super weird. I'm like, we almost need to like ease out of the relationship. That was the best way I could describe it to them. So we would meet for coffee once a week.
Oh,
and then it just stopped because he got a girlfriend a little too quickly for my
Oh
for
man.
my taste. Which I mean, like a little foreshadowing. Like I was pretty sure he was cheating on me too. So
Oh, yeah.
and they're still together, and I'm pretty sure they're going to get married soon.
And how long's that been?
Since 2020, so 3 years, almost 4 years.
Not even another chick. Oh man.
Oh yeah, he started dating her like 2 months after. Officially started dating her 2 months after we broke up. But no, I don't miss him at all.
I hooked my best friend up with this girl I was working with at the college. They dated for like 15 years and they were like out of sync, you know. When he was wanting to get married, she wasn't ready. Then when she was ready, he wasn't. And they went through this cycle for a while, and I was observing it and watching him. And he's my buddy, and she was my friend. She worked with me in an office, and I watched it for a long time. As soon as they broke up with each other, they were both married within like 6 months.
The thing with me and my ex is we were forcing something. Like the relationship had served its purpose. I can see that from an outside perspective now, but when you're in it, you don't see it. So I'm happy that we broke up and I could take a step back because I realized that the relationship had served its purpose. We were trying to force it, and it shouldn't have been forced. And to be completely honest, like I don't mean this in like a mean way, but he really dragged me down. And I only saw that after we broke up, my potential and like what I could do with my life. And I had so many goals and aspirations when I was with him, and I wanted him to be a part of it, but he like refused to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I think anytime you have someone that is not adding to you and only taking from you, that's a bad situation. Now, I don't think your partner needs to be all in everything you do. My wife has seldom been behind anything I've done, but she
I need to
has.
support you.
She hasn't gotten my way, and that's what I always tell people: just don't get in my damn way. I don't care what you do.
I love that.
Just don't get in my way. I mean, if you do nothing, I don't need your support. I don't need an attaboy. I don't need you to pat me on the back. I don't need any of that. Just don't get in my way when I'm trying to do something. If I have a goal, let me do my goal. And if I need help, I'll ask you. Otherwise, if you want to join in, I'm happy, but don't get in my way. Just don't get in my way. I think that's the best thing you can do. The support and encouragement, I think, to me, is when it comes from a partner, is a little overrated, but that just might be me. I'm a weird guy.
Well, we're coming up to an hour on this episode. See how time flies when we're having fun?
Oh, yeah, it does, don't it? I'm not sure. I hope people got something out of this, maybe, right?
Well, they heard about my previous relationship. They learned how you met your wife, how much you love Philly. Like,
ask. They heard about your dating life and lack of one now, maybe. I guess we didn't explore that.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll explore that in another episode.
So you're not on any dating apps or anything, right?
No, I am, but I don't take it too seriously. I'm hardly on them. Like I have a profile, but it's not like I'm on them every day.
Which one are you on?
Bumble and Hinge.
What is Bumble?
Bumble is the one where the girl has to message the guy first. The guy can't message the girl.
No kidding.
So if you match with someone, then the girl has 24 hours to send a message to the guy.
Man, I love that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever had that idea was cool because guys, we don't make the first move generally. We're afraid. We are intimidated by women mostly. Yeah, they won't.
Good. Let's keep it that way.
That is cool. So it is absolutely the woman gets to make the first move.
Yep.
Huh. I'll be damned. So what's the other one? Hinge?
Hinge, and it's just like a regular dating app. Anyone can message anyone. You match with someone, and then you have the ability to message them.
Have you ever went out to dinner with someone on one of those?
I've gone out for lunch.
Really?
Yeah, twice.
Like, how
Two
do you
different guys.
How do you know? Like, just this ain't. I mean, like,
Well, the common occurrence in this day and age in dating is the guy usually ends up ghosting you, or the girl. I think girls ghost too. So I've gone on 2 dates.
Like you go and then they don't do anything. They don't follow up.
Correct.
Are you shitting?
No. So the one guy who I was like really, well, not really into, but like I was kind of into him. He was really, really, really nice, checking all these boxes. Then we went on a date and I was even more into him because, you know, when you meet in person, you just know like if it's going to work or not. And like I was like super attracted to him. I'm like, oh, you look a lot better in person than in your pictures, because guys are just terrible at taking pictures of themselves. And then I thought the date went amazing. I thought it was the best date I've ever been on. And then he talked to me like the next couple of days, but I could tell instantly that he was pulling back. And I'm like, I'm not going to chase this guy. And I was like, I'm going to match his energy.
What was the reason?
I have no idea. I still don't
You
know.
have no idea?
No, he just never messaged me back. After like 2 days, he just never messaged me. And I'm like, I'm not going to message him.
Well, that would aggravate the shit out of me.
I got over it pretty quickly.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I went on 1 date with the guy. I wasn't invested fully. You know what I mean? Like if it had been like a few weeks of dating, I understand.
It would be nice to have some feedback.
Well, usually, Eugene, it probably has something to do with like, I would assume my looks, because I mean, up until we met, everything was perfect. Well, you have to expect that. Like the conversation was great. We were getting along via text message and via phone call. And then what happened with like obviously had something to do with
you're an attractive lady, so
yeah, but like that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be attractive to every man on the planet.
Well, okay. I don't know.
You right? Just like you don't find every woman attractive, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not attractive to someone else.
All righty.
All right. Well, it's always a pleasure. If you're new to our podcast or our YouTube, then you want to be friends, you can definitely check out both our social media links in either the video or the podcast description. We would love to be friends with you. As well as Eugene has his website linked as well, with a whole bunch of great ebooks, law services, everything, you name it.
Got a book on there about DUIs. I know that's a big deal for a lot of people in the summertime. You know, we're ending the summertime, but we're also coming into the holiday season. You know, you got Halloween parties and Thanksgiving and then Christmas and New Year.
Christmas.
DUIs are big deals. And that's when these cops coming out, you know, in full force trying to get you. And so I've got a lot of really good information, not just about DUIs, but about writing grants. I've written millions of dollars in grants, and that's a really good way to make some money. I've made way more money writing grants than I have practicing law. And I'm not sure if that says anything about my ability to practice law, but so we've got those two things on there and getting ready to write one. Oh, actually I finished one on debt, how to avoid the debt collector and how to deal with the debt collector. And I'm doing one on divorce. So I've got divorce and debt collection. So
Big writer.
Yeah, you've helped me do all of those. And so they look really nice and it's a good product. But, you know, take a look at both of our pages. You'll find some information. And if you're out there, a budding or even an experienced content creator, this lady can take you to the next level, whatever that is. And I'm not sure what damn level I'm on, but
you're on a high level now. My friend used this term the other day. She said, a tickfluencer. You're a tickfluencer. TikTok influencer.
yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I'm still getting calls from people.
That's all that matters.
So,
Eugene, it's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you very much. All right, y'all be good.
Turn me around, help me to the door. I'll never make it on my own.